"Sir, can I have your leftovers?" the homeless lady asked, and the millionaire followed her in silence. Khalil Monroe sat alone at a corner table in Giovanni's, an upscale Italian restaurant in downtown Seattle, finishing what had been a disappointing business dinner. His associate had canceled last minute, leaving Khalil with a table for two, an expensive bottle of wine he'd barely touched, and enough food to feed 4 people. At 36, he'd grown accustomed to disappointment. It was the price of success in a world that still looked at his black skin before his bank account. He was reviewing emails on his phone, half-eaten plates of ossobuco and risotto cooling in front of him, when he felt her presence. "Sir?" The voice was soft, hesitant, carrying the weight of humiliation that came from asking strangers for help. Khalil looked up to see a woman standing just outside the restaurant's outdoor patio area, separated from the dining space by a decorative rope barrier that might as well have been an ocean. She was maybe 30, maybe younger, hard to tell when life had clearly been unkind. Blonde hair, tangled and dirty, hung past her shoulders. Her clothes were layered despite the mild Seattle evening, a survival tactic Khalil recognized. Her face, beneath the grime and exhaustion, held traces of beauty that poverty hadn't completely erased. But it was her eyes, pale green, intelligent, desperate, that stopped his automatic dismissal. "Sir, I'm so sorry to bother you," she continued, her voice shaking slightly. "But you have so much food there, and I haven't eaten in 2 days. Could I have your leftovers, please?" The patio went silent. Other diners turned to stare, some with pity, most with disgust. A waiter moved toward her, clearly intending to remove this problem from the restaurant's upscale atmosphere. Khalil held up a hand, stopping the waiter mid-stride. He looked at the woman, really looked at her, at the way she held herself despite the shame, shoulders back, chin slightly raised, at her hands clasped together to stop them from shaking, at the desperation in her eyes that warred with something else. Pride, maybe. Dignity that homelessness hadn't stolen. "What's your name?" he asked quietly. She blinked, surprised. People didn't usually ask homeless people their names. "Autumn Reed. Autumn." Khalil stood slowly, and at 6'2", he towered over most people. He picked up the plates of barely touched food, walked to the barrier, and handed them over. "Here, but don't eat out here. Come sit down, at my table." Autumn's eyes widened. I can't. They'll kick me out. I'm not dressed appropriately. You're my guest. They won't say anything." Khalil's tone carried the quiet authority of someone accustomed to being obeyed. He gestured to the empty chair across from him. The patio erupted in whispers. The waiter looked panicked. A woman at the next table clutched her Prada bag tighter, as if homelessness were contagious. Autumn hesitated, then ducked under the rope barrier and slid into the chair, trying to make herself as small as possible. Up close, Khalil could see she was younger than he'd thought, late 20s at most. She could smell her own unwashed state, and shame colored her cheeks red beneath the dirt. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I know I smell. I know this is uncomfortable." "Eat," Khalil said simply, pushing the plates closer. "We'll talk after." Autumn ate like someone who'd forgotten what full felt like, quickly, but trying to maintain dignity, using the silverware properly despite shaking hands. Khalil watched her, noting details. Expensive dental work, veneers maybe, good bone structure, hands that suggested she'd once done work requiring fine motor skills. This woman hadn't been homeless her whole life. When she finished, tears streamed down her dirty face. "Thank you. You have no idea. Thank you." "Where do you sleep?" Khalil asked. "Why?" Suspicion crept into her voice. "Because I'm going to follow you, in silence. I want to see where you go, how you live." He said it matter-of-factly, like announcing he'd ordered dessert. Autumn stared at him. That's weird, and kind of creepy." "Probably, but I'm doing it anyway. You can say no, but I'll follow from a distance. Or you can let me walk with you, and maybe we can talk." "Why would you do that?" Khalil was quiet for a moment. "Because you asked for leftovers with more dignity than most people ask for multi-million-dollar investments. Because I want to understand. Because," he paused, "because I've been where people look through me like I don't exist, just for different reasons. And I won't do that to you." Autumn studied him. This impeccably dressed black man with kind eyes and an expensive watch, who just treated her like a human being when the world had decided she wasn't one anymore. "Okay," she said finally. "You can follow, but fair warning, my life isn't pretty. Neither is mine. It's just better packaged." Hello, my Stop Racism family. Thank you for tuning in today. Before we dive deeper into this beautiful love story, I want to hear from you. Where are you watching from? Drop your country and state in the comments below. Also, I'd love to know your thoughts. What did you think of the story so far? Do you believe love can truly conquer prejudice? Let us know in the comments. We love reading them. And trust me, your words motivate us to keep making these videos. Let's make this video reach at least 50 comments. Your support means the world to us, and it drives us to create even more meaningful content for you. So don't forget to comment, share, and keep spreading love. True to his word, Khalil followed Autumn through Seattle's streets in silence. She led him away from the glittering downtown core, through neighborhoods that gradually became rougher, darker, more desperate. He walked 3 paces behind, hands in the pockets of his Tom Ford suit, drawing stares from people who recognized money and wondered what he was doing in this part of town. Autumn stopped occasionally, once to retrieve a sleeping bag hidden behind a dumpster, once to nod at another homeless woman who eyed Khalil with suspicion, once to carefully avoid a street corner where aggressive dealers operated. After 20 minutes, she led him to an underpass beneath I-5. It was her camp, a carefully constructed shelter made from tarps, cardboard, and determination. Surprisingly organized, her few possessions in neat piles, books, actual books, stacked carefully, a small camping stove, and pictures taped to the concrete wall. Photos of a different life. Autumn in graduation robes, Autumn in a lab coat, Autumn smiling without the weight of the world in her eyes. She turned to face Khalil. "This is it, my palace. Still want to understand?" Khalil looked around, at the makeshift home, at the pictures, at the books, advanced mathematics, physics, chemistry. "You were a scientist." It wasn't a question. Autumn's laugh was bitter. Was? Past tense. Yeah. PhD in biochemistry from Stanford. Full ride. Graduated top of my class. Had a job at a pharmaceutical company. Apartment in Fremont. Whole future ahead of me. What happened? Life. The kind that doesn't care about degrees or potential. Autumn sat on her sleeping bag. Exhaustion evident in every line of her body. "My mom got sick. Stage 4 cancer. I took time off to care for her. Company said they understood until they didn't. Budget cuts meant my position was eliminated. Mom died 6 months later, left me with $200,000 in medical debt that insurance decided was experimental treatment and wouldn't cover." She laughed again, darker this time. "Couldn't find another job in my field, gap in employment, references from a company that laid me off, lost my apartment, maxed out credit cards, sold everything I owned. Turns out a PhD means nothing when you can't afford a shower for job interviews." Khalil sat down on a nearby crate, silent, letting her talk. "Been on the streets for 8 months. You know what's funny? I can explain quantum mechanics, but I can't explain how I ended up here. One bad break, then another, until suddenly you're invisible." Autumn met his eyes. "So, now you know. The homeless lady with the leftovers was almost something, almost someone. Now she's just this." "You're still someone," Khalil said quietly. "You're Autumn Reed, PhD in biochemistry, who asked for help with dignity intact. That's more someone than most people I know. Pretty words from a man in a $5,000 suit. Try 8,000. But who's counting?" Khalil smiled slightly. "I'm Khalil Monroe. I own Monroe Tech Solutions, cybersecurity firm, worth about 50 million, give or take. And before you ask why I'm here, sitting under a freeway with a homeless woman, it's because you reminded me of something I'd forgotten." "What's that?" "That circumstances don't define worth, that dignity isn't tied to bank accounts, that the same society that looks through you also looks past me, just for different reason." Khalil's voice carried old pain. "I'm a black millionaire in tech. Know how many meetings I've attended where people assume I'm the IT guy, not the owner? How many times security has followed me in stores because expensive clothes plus black skin equals suspicious? We're both invisible, Autumn, just different flavors." Autumn studied him with new understanding. "The world's exhausting, isn't it? Constantly having to prove you deserve to exist." "Exhausting," Khalil agreed, "which is why I'm making you an offer. If it involves money or pity, I'm not interested. It involves work. My company needs someone for a special project. Data analysis, pattern recognition, advanced algorithms. PhD level work. I was going to hire a contractor, but I'd rather hire you." Autumn's laugh was harsh. "Right, because homeless people make great employees. No address, no clean clothes, no way to shower, super professional. So we fix those things. Apartment, clothes, everything you need. But you earn it. Real work, real salary, real expectation. Not charity, employment." "Why?" Autumn's voice cracked. "Why would you do this for a stranger?" "Because 8 years ago, someone gave me a chance when I had nothing but a business plan and audacity. A black kid from Tacoma with big dreams and no connections. He believed in my work, Not my circumstances. I'm paying that forward. Khalil stood, extending his hand. So what do you say, Dr. Reed? Want to be someone again? Autumn looked at his hand, at the offer of dignity, of hope, of a way back. She'd been disappointed so many times, learned to trust nothing, expect nothing. But something in Khalil's eyes was genuine. She took his hand. Okay, but if this is some kind of joke, it's not. Be at this address tomorrow, 9 a.m. He handed her a card. I'll have everything ready. As Khalil walked away, Autumn stared at the business card, barely believing what had just happened. In the space of 2 hours, she'd gone from begging for leftovers to being offered her life back. She didn't know whether to hope or prepare for heartbreak. Autumn stood outside Monroe Tech Solutions at 8:45 a.m., terrified. She'd spent the night at a 24-hour laundromat, using their bathroom to wash as best she could, trying to make herself presentable. Her clothes were still dirty, her hair still tangled, but she'd shown up. That had to count for something. Khalil was waiting in the lobby. Right on time. Good. Follow me. He led her past the receptionist, who stared with barely concealed shock, past curious employees, to a corner office. Inside was everything. New clothes, women's size 6. How had he known? Toiletries, a key card, and an envelope. Apartment key, Khalil explained. It's temporary housing my company keeps for contractors. 1 bedroom, furnished, utilities included. Use it while you get on your feet. The clothes are for work. Business casual, 5 outfits to start. Bathroom down the hall has a shower. Take your time. Get cleaned up. Then we'll talk about the job. Autumn's hands trembled as she took the key. I don't know what to say. Say you'll show up every day and work hard. That's all I need. Khalil headed for the door, then paused. Autumn, welcome back. 2 hours later, Autumn emerged, transformed. Clean hair, blonde, shining, falling in natural waves. Fresh clothes, simple black pants and a blue blouse. And for the first time in months, she looked like herself. The employees who'd stared earlier did double takes. Khalil met her in the conference room with coffee, real coffee, expensive coffee, and a tablet. Ready to work? What's the project? We're developing a new encryption algorithm. Quantum-resistant cybersecurity. I need someone to analyze potential vulnerabilities, run simulations, identify weaknesses before they become problems. It's PhD-level mathematics and pattern recognition. Think you can handle it? Autumn took the tablet, scrolled through the specifications, and for the first time in forever, felt her brain engage. This was familiar territory. Complex problems, elegant solutions, the beautiful logic of advanced mathematics. Yeah, I can handle this. Good. Salary is $80,000 annually. Full benefits after 90 days. Standard contract work terms. You'll work from here, normal business hours, with flexibility as needed. Questions? Why me? You could hire anyone. I'm hiring you, that's what matters. Khalil stood. Get started. My office is down the hall if you need anything. For the next 6 hours, Autumn worked, really worked, losing herself in algorithms and code and the mental challenge she'd missed desperately. When she finally looked up, it was 6 p.m., and Khalil was standing in the doorway with takeout bags. Hungry? Starving. They ate in his office. Thai food from a local place. Nothing fancy, just good. They talked about the project, about her findings, about technical details that excited them both. And somewhere in the conversation, Autumn realized she was smiling, actually smiling. Thank you, she said suddenly, for this, for seeing me. You made it easy. You asked for leftovers with more dignity than most people ask for raises. Khalil met her eyes. But Autumn, this isn't charity. You earned this opportunity by being brilliant and refusing to let circumstances destroy you. Now you just have to keep earning it. I will, I promise. As Autumn left that night, riding the bus to her temporary apartment, her apartment, she felt something she hadn't in months. Hope. And maybe, just maybe, something else. Something about the way Khalil had looked at her, not with pity, but with respect, like she was someone worth knowing. 3 weeks passed. Autumn showed up every day at 8:30 a.m. sharp, worked until 6 p.m., and delivered results that exceeded every expectation. The encryption project was progressing ahead of schedule, her analysis was brilliant, and Khalil's team had stopped staring and started respecting. But more than work was developing. Khalil and Autumn had fallen into a routine. Coffee every morning. He learned she took it black with 2 sugars. Lunch in his office where they talked about everything except work, and occasional dinners when projects ran late. They'd become friends, though both felt something more simmering beneath the surface. On a Friday afternoon, Autumn knocked on Khalil's office door. Got a minute? Always. What's up? I wanted to thank you properly for everything. Autumn handed him an envelope. It's not much, but it's important to me. Inside was a check, $2,400, her first month's salary, every penny. Autumn, what? I know you gave me an advance. For the apartment deposit, the clothes, everything I needed. This is me paying you back. With interest. Her voice was firm. You said this wasn't charity. You said I was earning this. So I'm paying my debts. I need you to know I'm not a project or a charity case. I'm your employee and I pay my own way. Khalil looked at the check, then at Autumn's determined face. He could afford to refuse it. $2,400 was nothing to him. But to her, it was everything. It was dignity. It was proof she'd climbed back. Okay, he said finally, taking the check. Consider us even. Autumn's relief was visible. Thank you for understanding why this mattered. I do understand, more than you know. Khalil gestured to the chair across from him. Can I tell you something? About why I really followed you that night? Please. 8 years ago, I was standing outside a restaurant, not unlike Giovanni's. I was wearing my only suit, bought from Goodwill. Didn't quite fit. I was trying to get a meeting with an investor, but security kept escorting me away because I didn't belong there. I'd spent weeks trying to get this meeting, and I was desperate. Khalil's voice carried old pain. A white woman, older, dressed expensively, saw what was happening. She could have walked past. Most people did. Instead, she stopped, told security I was her guest, and brought me inside. She listened to my pitch, asked tough questions, and ultimately invested $50,000 in my startup. She said she did it because I had what mattered: vision, integrity, and the courage to ask for help. What happened to her? She died 3 years ago. Cancer. I tried to pay her back, but she refused. Said to pay it forward instead. Said the world needed more people who saw potential instead of circumstances. Khalil met Autumn's eyes. So when you asked for leftovers with dignity intact, I saw myself, and I saw my chance to honor her memory. Autumn wiped away tears. What was her name? Eleanor Harris. She was something special. She was, because she saw you, really saw you. Autumn's voice was soft. I'm glad. She did. The world's better for it. They sat in comfortable silence, the unspoken connection between them growing stronger. Khalil, Autumn said finally, would you want to have dinner sometime? Not takeout in your office. A real dinner. My treat to celebrate being off the streets for a month. Khalil smiled. I'd like that very much. They met at a modest cafe in Capitol Hill. Autumn's choice, within her budget, nothing fancy. She wore one of her work outfits, hair pulled back, nervous in a way she hadn't been since college. Khalil arrived in jeans and a casual shirt, no suit, no obvious wealth markers, just himself. Hi, Autumn said, suddenly shy. Hi yourself? Khalil slid into the booth across from her. You look beautiful. You clean up nice too, without the intimidating millionaire suit. They ordered burgers and fries, nothing expensive, and talked, really talked, about more than work this time. Khalil told stories about building his company, about the challenges of being a black CEO in tech, about the subtle racism that persisted even with success. Autumn shared about her mother's death, about the guilt of not saving her, about the shame spiral that led from employed scientist to homeless in 8 months. Do you ever miss it? Khalil asked. Your old life? Parts of it. The research, definitely. The stability. But Autumn paused. The person I was then? She was arrogant. Thought hard work and degrees meant safety. Thought homeless people must have done something wrong, made bad choices. I was wrong about so much. Homelessness taught you empathy. Homelessness taught me that any of us is 3 bad breaks away from rock bottom. That dignity isn't about where you sleep or how much money you have. That kindness from strangers can literally save your life. She met his eyes. You saved my life, Khalil. You saved your own life. I just provided tools. Still, I owe you everything. You owe me good work and honesty. That's it. Khalil reached across the table, his dark hand covering her pale one. But Autumn, I need to tell you something. He gestured between them. This is more than employer-employee, more than paying forward a debt. I'm interested in you. As a person, as someone I want to know outside conference rooms and work projects. Autumn's breath caught. I'm interested too, have been for weeks, but I'm scared. Of what? Of being a project, of you being noble millionaire, saving pathetic homeless girl, of this being gratitude instead of real feeling? Her voice trembled. I've lost so much, Khalil. I can't lose this too if it's not real. It's real. I promise you, it's real. Khalil squeezed her hand. I'm not noble. I'm selfish. I want your time, your laughter, your brilliant mind. I want to know what makes you happy, what keeps you up at night. He paused. I want you, not as a project, but as a partner. I want that too, Autumn whispered. So much it terrifies me. Then let's be terrified together. They left the cafe hand in hand, walking through Seattle's streets like any other couple. But they weren't any other couple. They were a black millionaire and a formerly homeless white woman, bridging divides that society insisted were impossible. As they walked, An older white couple passed by, the woman clutching her purse tighter when she saw Khalil. The man made a disgusted sound, glaring at their intertwined hands. "There it is," Khalil murmured. "The look, the judgment. I'm sorry that you have to deal with that. I'm used to it. Been dealing with it my whole life. The assumption that I'm dangerous, suspicious, not worthy of a white woman's attention." His voice was tired. "Does it bother you? The stares, the comments, the racism that comes with being with me?" Autumn stopped walking, turning to face him fully. "Yes, it bothers me. Not because I care what they think, but because you have to endure it. Because the world can't see what I see, a kind, brilliant, generous man who treats me like I matter. They just see skin color and make assumptions. Welcome to my world. Then I'll stand in your world, gladly, and maybe together we can build something better." Khalil pulled her close, kissing her forehead gently. "Together. I like the sound of that. How's this story hitting you so far? Tell us in the comments. If you're loving it, type 1. If not, type 0. We want to know what you think." 2 months into their relationship, Khalil invited Autumn to a tech industry gala. Black tie, Seattle's elite, the kind of event that made even confident people nervous. For Autumn, it was terrifying. "I don't belong at something like that," she protested. "I'm a contractor who was homeless 4 months ago. These are millionaires and CEOs. You're a PD with brilliant insights who happens to be dating me. You belong." Khalil kissed her cheek. "Besides, I need someone who'll keep me sane when tech bros start explaining blockchain for the 1,000th time." So Autumn found herself in a borrowed dress. Khalil's assistant had excellent taste, her blonde hair professionally styled, walking into the Four Seasons ballroom on Khalil's arm. The stares started immediately. Not curious glances, hostile stares. A black man with a white woman wasn't unusual in Seattle, but the way people looked at them suggested something more. Judgment, disapproval, the unspoken question, "What's he doing with her?" Khalil had warned her. "Some people will assume you're a gold digger. Others will think I'm trying to upgrade by dating white. Both are racist bullshit, but you'll hear it." He was right. Khalil Monroe, a tech CEO, white 50s, self-important, approached with a shark smile. "Heard you brought a date. This is unexpected." "Autumn Reed," Khalil introduced smoothly. "Dr. Autumn Reed. She's working on encryption analysis for my company." "A doctor?" The CEO's skepticism was obvious. "What kind of doctor?" "PhD in biochemistry from Stanford. I work in advanced algorithmic pattern recognition now." Autumn kept her voice professional, refusing to be intimidated. Career change. Interesting." The CEO's tone suggested it was anything but. "And how did you two meet?" Before Khalil could answer, Autumn spoke. "I asked him for leftovers outside a restaurant. He said yes, then offered me a job. Romance followed." The CEO blinked, unsure if she was joking. Khalil grinned, clearly proud of her honesty. "Leftovers?" The CEO looked between them. "That's quite a story." "It's our story," Khalil said firmly, "and it's real. Now, if you'll excuse us." He guided Autumn away, his hand warm on her lower back. "Why did you tell him the truth?" Khalil asked quietly. "Because I'm done being ashamed. I was homeless. You helped me. We fell in love. Those are facts, not scandals." Autumn's voice was steady. "If people can't handle truth, that's their problem. You're incredible, you know that. I'm learning." The rest of the evening was mixed. Some people were genuinely friendly, curious about Autumn's research and impressed by her credentials. Others made snide comments about Khalil rescuing her, about interracial relationships being trendy, about whether she was taking advantage of his wealth. The worst came from Vanessa Chen, a venture capitalist known for aggressive deal-making. She cornered Autumn near the bar. "So you're the homeless girl Khalil picked up. Everyone's talking about it. Formerly homeless. And he didn't pick me up. He offered me employment. How convenient. Sleeping your way from the streets to a millionaire's bed. That's quite a come-up." Vanessa's smile was cruel. Autumn felt rage bubbling up, not at the comment, but at the assumption. "I work 60 hours a week. I pay my own rent now. I'm not with Khalil because of his money. I'm with him because he's kind, brilliant, and treats me like an equal, which is more than most people in this room can say about their relationships." "Oh, please. You expect me to believe Vanessa?" Khalil appeared at Autumn's side, his voice ice. "I suggest you find another conversation, unless you want to explain to your investors why Monroe Tech is pulling our contracts with your portfolio companies." Vanessa paled. "Khalil, I didn't mean—" "Yes, you did. But here's what you don't understand. Autumn is the best thing that's happened to me in years. Not because she needs me, but because she doesn't. She chose me despite my wealth, not because of it. That's more real than any relationship in this room." He took Autumn's hand. "Now, if you'll excuse us, I'd like to dance with my girlfriend." On the dance floor, Autumn rested her head against Khalil's chest. That was intense. Welcome to my world, where people make assumptions based on appearances and refuse to see beyond their prejudices. Does it ever get easier? No, but having you beside me makes it bearable. Khalil pulled back to look at her. I love you, Autumn Reed. I don't say that lightly, but I love your strength, your honesty, your brilliant mind, and your refusal to let circumstances define you. Autumn's eyes filled with tears. I love you too, even when your world is terrifying and judgmental and exhausting. So we face it together? Together, always. They danced until the gala ended, ignoring the stares, the whispers, the judgment, because they'd found something real in a world obsessed with appearances, and that was worth fighting for. Everything was perfect until it wasn't. 6 months into their relationship, Autumn received a letter at the apartment, forwarded from her old address, somehow finding her. It was from Zenith Pharmaceuticals, her former employer. Inside was a job offer, senior research scientist position, full benefits, $120,000 salary, relocation to Boston. Autumn read the letter aloud to Khalil, her voice shaking. They want me back. Said they made a mistake letting me go, that my work was valuable. They're offering everything I lost. Khalil was quiet for a moment. What do you want to do? I don't know. This is everything I wanted before. My career back, vindication, proof I wasn't disposable. Autumn looked up, tears streaming. But it's in Boston, 3,000 miles away, and it means leaving you, leaving the life we've built. Is that what you want? To leave? No, God, no. But Khalil, what am I doing here? Working as a contractor, living in temporary housing, existing in your world but not really belonging. This job, it's my career, my identity, the life I worked for before everything fell apart. Khalil moved to sit beside her, taking her hands. Autumn, I can't tell you what to do. This has to be your choice. But I need you to understand something. You belong here, not because I gave you a job, but because you earned your place. You're brilliant, valued, respected. My team fights over who gets to work with you. The encryption project succeeded because of you. But that's your company, your generosity. What happens when the contract ends? When the temporary housing runs out? I can't build a life on temporary, Khalil. I need stability. Then let's make it permanent. Move in with me, not the company apartment, my actual home. As my partner, my equal, He paused, then continued. Marry me, not someday, not eventually. Marry me, build a life with me. Make Seattle your home because it's where we are. Together. Autumn froze. You're proposing? Now? When I'm considering leaving? I'm proposing because I can't imagine my life without you. Because these 6 months have been the best of my life. Because I love you and want to build something permanent. Khalil's voice was raw with emotion. But I won't trap you. If Boston is what you need, if that career is more important, I understand. I'll even help you move, support your decision, and love you from a distance. That's not fair. Making me choose between my career and you. Life isn't fair, Autumn. You taught me that. Sometimes we face impossible choices and have to decide what matters most. He stood, giving her space. Take time. Think about what you really want. I'll support whatever you decide. He left her apartment, and Autumn sat alone with 2 futures laid out before her. Reclaim her old life in Boston, or build a new one in Seattle with the man she loved. Autumn spent 3 days wrestling with the decision. She visited her old underpass camp, looking at where she'd been and how far she'd come. She talked to her colleagues at Monroe Tech, who unanimously told her she'd be insane to leave. She stared at the Boston offer letter until the words blurred. On the 4th day, she called her old supervisor at Zenith Pharmaceuticals. Dr. Reed, we're so glad you're considering our offer. When can you start? I have questions first. Why now? Why offer this after letting me go, after my mom died and I lost everything? There was uncomfortable silence. We made a business decision that, in retrospect, was premature. Your research was valuable. We want to rectify that mistake. My mom's medical debt, the $200,000 that destroyed my life. You classified her treatment as experimental to avoid paying. That was your decision too. More silence. You're offering me this job because you saw news articles about me and Khalil Monroe, about the homeless woman who became a millionaire's girlfriend. You want the publicity, the redemption story. Zenith Pharmaceuticals rehires former employee. Good press, right? Dr. Reed, I assure you that I'm declining. I'd rather work for someone who valued me at my lowest, not someone who wants me now that I'm visible again. Autumn's voice was steel. Find someone else for your redemption story. She hung up, feeling lighter than she had in days. That evening, she knocked on Khalil's door. He answered in sweats and a t-shirt, clearly having had a rough few days himself. I need to tell you something, Autumn said. Okay. Khalil's voice was carefully neutral, braced for heartbreak. I declined the Boston offer. Hope flickered across his face. Why? Because they wanted the story, not the scientist. Because that life ended when my mom died, and trying to resurrect it would be living in a past that doesn't exist anymore. Autumn stepped closer, but mostly because my life is here, with you, building something new, something real, something that started with leftovers and became everything. You're staying? Khalil's voice cracked. I'm staying. If the offer still stands, moving in, building a life, maybe even... She pulled out a small box. Inside was a simple silver ring, maybe even marrying a millionaire who saw me when I was invisible. Khalil laughed, pulling her into his arms. That's my line. I'm supposed to propose to you. Too late. I'm proposing to you. Khalil Monroe, will you marry a formerly homeless scientist with trust issues and student debt? Yes, absolutely yes, but he pulled out his own ring box. I was planning a big romantic gesture. Dinner, speeches, the works. Forget romantic gestures. I prefer leftovers and honesty. They slid rings on each other's fingers, laughing and crying, and somewhere in that imperfect moment, everything became perfect. The engagement made news. Millionaire CEO marries formerly homeless scientist, which brought both support and vitriol. News outlets wanted interviews, strangers had opinions, and social media erupted with takes ranging from heartwarming to hateful. You're using him for money, one comment read. He's got a white woman fetish, another claimed. Interracial relationships are destroying American values, a particularly vile one stated. Khalil and Autumn learned to ignore most of it, but some days were harder than others. Like when Khalil's mother called, "Baby, are you sure about this?" Diana Monroe's voice carried concern, not judgment. The world is cruel to black men with white women. You'll face hatred from all sides. I know, Mama, but I love her, really love her. I believe you. But son, what about her? When the novelty wears off? When being with a black man means facing real consequences? Will she stay? She will. I know she will. I hope you're right, because I don't want to see you hurt. The conversation haunted Khalil, not because he doubted Autumn, but because his mother's fear was valid. He'd seen relationships crumble under societal pressure, watched love die beneath the weight of racism and judgment. That night, he asked Autumn directly, "Are you prepared for what this means? Not just dating, being married to a black man. The stares won't stop. The comments will get worse. Our kids, if we have them, will face questions about their identity. Are you ready for that reality?" Autumn was quiet for a long time. "I won't pretend to fully understand what you face every day. I can't. I'm white. I've never experienced that specific hatred. But I've experienced being invisible, being judged, being treated as less than. And I know this. I'd rather face racism beside you than live comfortably without you. That's easy to say now. It's easy because I mean it. Khalil, I've been homeless. I've had people spit at me, call me trash, treat me like I wasn't human. I survived that. I can survive ignorant people who can't accept our love." She took his hands. "What I can't survive is losing you because we let fear win. My mother's worried you'll leave when it gets hard. Then we'll prove her wrong, together, by building something so strong that hatred bounces off." Khalil pulled her close, hoping she was right. They married 6 months later at a small venue in Seattle. Intimate ceremony, 50 guests, nothing extravagant. Autumn wore a simple white dress she'd chosen herself. Khalil had offered to pay for anything, but she'd insisted on buying it with her own money. Now a healthy salary as Monroe Tech's director of research. Khalil wore a tailored suit with his grandmother's cufflinks. But the beauty of the ceremony was in who attended. Khalil's family, mother, sisters, nieces, and nephews, embraced Autumn completely. Diana Monroe had come around after seeing how Khalil and Autumn supported each other through challenges. Autumn's world was smaller. A few former colleagues, her best friend from grad school, and, surprisingly, several people from her homeless days. She'd invited them specifically, wanting to honor where she'd been. Eleanor Harris's daughter was there too, representing the woman whose investment had started Khalil's company. "Mom would have loved this," she said, tears in her eyes. 2 people paying forward kindness, building something beautiful from brokenness. The ceremony itself was honest, emotional, perfectly them. They wrote their own vows. Autumn went first. "Khalil, you saw me when I was invisible. You treated me with dignity when the world said I had none. You didn't rescue me. You gave me tools to rescue myself. I promise to be your partner, your equal, your strongest supporter, to face judgment together, to build a life where kindness matters more than wealth, where love conquers prejudice, where our story inspires others to see beyond circumstances. Khalil's turn. Autumn, you reminded me why I do what I do. Not for money or success, but to make the world better. You taught me that dignity isn't about where you sleep or what you own. It's about how you treat others and yourself. I promise to honor your independence while offering my support, to stand beside you against racism, judgment, and ignorance, to build something real that lasts beyond us, to love you in easy times and hard times, because you're worth both. They exchanged rings, not expensive diamonds, but simple bands they'd chosen together. They kissed as husband and wife, and the room erupted in applause. At the reception, speeches ranged from funny to tearful. Khalil's sister, I've never seen my brother this happy. Autumn, welcome to the family. Fair warning, we're loud, opinionated, and will absolutely roast you at Thanksgiving. Autumn's grad school friend. I lost touch with Autumn after her mom died. I'm ashamed of that. But seeing her now, stronger and happier than ever, reminds me that we're all one bad break from rock bottom, and one kind gesture from climbing back. Khalil, thank you for being that gesture. But the most impactful speech came from Marcus, a homeless veteran who'd known Autumn from the underpass. When Autumn was living rough, she shared food even when she was starving, gave me her spare blanket even though she needed it, never treated me like I was less than. Marcus's voice shook. Then one day she disappeared. I thought the worst. But she came back, found me, told me about this guy. He nodded at Khalil, who'd seen her humanity. She brought me food, helped me get into housing programs, wouldn't give up until I had shelter. Tears streamed down Marcus's face. You two, you're proof that kindness creates more kindness, that seeing people's humanity, not their circumstances, changes lives. Thank you for showing me that dignity matters more than comfort, and love conquers hate. By the end, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. As they danced their first dance, Autumn whispered, "We did it. We actually did it. Built a life from leftovers." Khalil smiled. "Built love from kindness. That's more valuable than any wealth." "I love you, Mrs. Monroe. I love you too, Mr. Monroe." Married life brought new challenges. Khalil and Autumn moved into a house in Ballard, diverse neighborhood, good schools for their future kids, close to both downtown and the waterfront. They thought they'd found their perfect place. Then the letters started. First letter, interracial relationships are an abomination. Move before something bad happens. Second letter, white women who date black men are traitors. You've been warned. Third letter, most disturbing, photos of their house, their cars, with red X marks. Khalil wanted to call police immediately. Autumn wanted to confront whoever was sending them. Their security consultant recommended cameras, alarm systems, and vigilance. "We can move," Khalil said after the fifth letter arrived. "Find somewhere safer." No, Autumn's voice was firm. "We're not letting hatred drive us from our home. That's exactly what they want. For us to hide, to be afraid, to validate their bigotry. Autumn, this is serious. These aren't just mean comments. These are threats." "I know, which is why we report them, protect ourselves, but refuse to run. We stay. We live our lives. We show them that love doesn't hide." So they installed security, notified police, and continued living defiantly normal lives. Walking their dog, hosting friends, existing as a couple despite anonymous hatred. Then came the encounter that nearly broke them. Autumn was grocery shopping alone when a white woman approached her in the produce section. 50s, well-dressed, eyes full of righteous anger. "I know who you are. Autumn Monroe, the homeless girl who married that black millionaire. Can I help you?" Autumn kept her voice neutral. "You're disgusting. Betraying your race for money. Sleeping with him like some kind of..." She used a racial slur so vile that Autumn froze. "Excuse me? You heard me. You're race traitors, both of you. He's trying to corrupt white women, and you're letting him. You should be ashamed." Something in Autumn snapped. "You want to talk about shame? Let's talk. I was homeless, starving, invisible. Your kind walked past me every day without seeing me. But Khalil Monroe, he saw my humanity, offered me dignity when the world offered nothing. We fell in love because he's kind, brilliant, and treats people with respect, qualities you clearly lack. How dare you? No, how dare you? You judge our love based on skin color, while knowing nothing about our hearts. You hate us for finding happiness that crosses your arbitrary racial lines. But here's the truth. Your hatred is your problem, not ours. We're happy. We're building a life, and no amount of bigotry will change that." The woman sputtered, shocked at the confrontation. Other shoppers had stopped to watch. "Our love is real," Autumn continued, voice carrying through the store. "It survived homelessness, class differences, societal judgment, and anonymous threats. It will definitely survive your ignorance. So take your hatred, your slurs, and your racism, and leave us the hell alone." She walked away, shaking with adrenaline and rage. That night, she told Khalil what happened. "I'm sorry. I should have stayed calm. Shouldn't have engaged. You were perfect." Khalil pulled her close. "You stood up for us, for our love. That's exactly what we need to do. Refuse to accept hatred as normal." But what if she's right? What if our relationship does face more backlash than it's worth? Then we face it together. Because you're worth every challenge, every confrontation, every threat. I'd rather live one day with you facing hatred than a lifetime without you in comfort. Khalil cupped her face. "We're in this together. Always. Always," Autumn echoed, believing it with everything she had. How's this story hitting you so far? Tell us in the comments. If you're loving it, type 1. If not, type 0. We want to know what you think. 2 years after their wedding, Khalil and Autumn stood outside Giovanni's, the restaurant where everything began. They were there for the anniversary, to commemorate the moment Autumn had asked for leftovers and Khalil had followed in silence. "Remember this place?" Khalil asked, though obviously she did. "How could I forget? This is where my life changed, where you saw me." They walked inside, past the patio where Autumn had stood begging, to their reserved table. The same waiter who'd tried to remove her that night now served them with respect, knowing their story. To leftovers, Khalil toasted with expensive wine. To following strangers in silence, Autumn countered, grinning. As they ate, Khalil pulled out an envelope. "I have something for you, an anniversary gift." Inside were documents, legal papers that Autumn struggled to understand initially. "What is this?" "The Eleanor Harris Foundation, named after the woman who invested in me, dedicated to supporting people rebuilding from homelessness, employment programs, housing assistance, mental health support, everything you needed and couldn't find. You're listed as co-founder and director." Autumn's hands trembled. "Khalil, this is incredible. It's our way of paying forward what we received, turning our story into support for others." Khalil smiled. "Also, I may have already hired Marcus as our first community outreach coordinator. He knows the struggles, knows what people need." Tears streamed down Autumn's face. "You're amazing." "We're amazing. Together, we're changing lives." The foundation launched the following month, making immediate impact. Stories emerged of people helped, single mothers getting job training, veterans finding housing, former addicts receiving treatment. Each success reinforced that kindness created ripple effects. But the most powerful moment came 9 months later. Autumn was working at the foundation office when a young woman walked in. Early 20s, dirty clothes, desperate eyes. She approached the desk hesitantly. "Excuse me, I heard you help people like me. Homeless people?" Autumn's heart clenched with recognition. "We do. What's your name?" "Riley. Riley Thompson. I lost my job, couldn't pay rent, been on the streets for 3 months. I have a degree, I'm smart, but nobody will hire me when I can't afford a shower or clean clothes for interviews." "I understand. More than you know." Autumn gestured to a chair. "Sit down, Riley. Let me tell you a story about leftovers and second chances." She shared her journey. Homelessness, humiliation, the night she asked for leftovers and found dignity instead. Riley listened with tears streaming, hope growing in her eyes. "So you were like me?" "Exactly like you. And now I run this foundation. I'm married to an incredible man, and I use my experience to help others because someone helped me when I needed it most." Autumn spent 3 hours with Riley that day, getting her into temporary housing, setting up job training, providing clothes and resources. Seeing her own story reflected in someone else's struggle made the journey worthwhile. That evening, she told Khalil about Riley. "It's happening. What we hoped for. We're actually helping people rebuild their lives." Khalil pulled her close. "Because you understand what they need. Because you've been there. Because your past became your purpose." "Our purpose," Autumn corrected. "We built this together." 6 months later, Riley got a job in data analysis. She sent Autumn a text. "I asked for help and found hope. Thank you for seeing me." Autumn showed Khalil, both of them emotional. "Full circle," he said. "From asking for leftovers to giving others full meals. From homelessness to helping the homeless. From invisible to impossible to ignore." They stood in their kitchen, their home, their life, their love, and marveled at the journey. It had started with 5 words. "Sir, can I have your leftovers?" and grown into something neither could have imagined. A love that conquered class divides, racial prejudice, and societal judgment. A partnership that turned trauma into purpose, suffering into service. "I love you," Autumn said simply. "I love you too. Always have, since the moment you asked for food with dignity intact. And I've loved you since you followed me in silence, wanting to understand instead of judge." They kissed in their kitchen, 2 years married, infinitely grateful for the chance encounter that changed everything. Outside, Seattle glittered with possibility. Inside, two people who'd found each other against impossible odds held tight to the truth they'd learned. Love doesn't require matching bank accounts or similar backgrounds. It requires seeing each other's humanity, offering dignity, and building something real from the most unlikely beginning. Sometimes, the greatest loves start with the simplest questions. Sometimes, following someone in silence speaks louder than words. And sometimes, leftovers become the foundation for a feast of love, purpose, and hope that feeds not just two people, but everyone they touch.